Right, so for recording purposes, this is excretion part 2. And how much of you all have heard about something called a dialysis machine? Or you probably know someone who is currently in need of a dialysis machine. In case you never heard about it, right? A dialysis machine basically cleans a person's blood. That's the simplest way to put it. Usually, your kidneys plays a very important role in removing toxic substances from your bloodstream, right? The one that we're going to be concentrating on today is urea. Remember, I explained that last week, that urea is produced in the liver when a person eats too much protein. And what happens, urea ends up being very, very toxic in the body, and the body needs to remove it. Now, if a person's kidneys is not working properly, because the kidneys would remove the urea from the body, a person would need a dialysis machine in a case like that to remove the urea. So I just have a diagram. Now, there are many different types of dialysis machines. Not all of them look like the one in the picture here. Some of them are way huger. But one thing for sure, all of them are very, very expensive. So let's get a very simplified diagram of how a dialysis machine works. Now, don't draw it as yet. I'll give you a lot of time to do your drawings and whatnot. Basically, how this works, let me get a different color here. Let me get some red. What will happen, a tube will be connected to the patient, and it's going to draw the blood out of the patient and then return the blood back to the patient. Obviously, the blood that's going to be returned to the patient is going to be blood that's free of urea, because the dialysis machine is removing the urea from the blood. So here's how it works, right? Blood will come in from the patient from one side. So the blood that's inside this little region here, it's going to be blood with urea in it, something that we don't want. And then it's going to extract the urea out of the blood. So if the urea gets extracted out of the blood, that means clean blood remains and comes out this end, and it goes back to the patient. Obviously, the question is, how does the dialysis machine remove the urea from the blood? And this is where the examiner starts to question you thoroughly on the dialysis machine. So let's look at the first arrow over here. So inside your blood, well, blood has many, many things in it. So just to name a few things, right? Blood has glucose in it. We all know that. Blood will have salts, urea, and red blood cells, and plasma, and proteins, and whatnot inside the blood. Now, if you notice, right, in the middle of the dialysis machine here, you'll notice that it have little holes on this end here. Right? It's called semi-permeable. Now, what's going to happen? These holes have a certain size. So only certain things can move through that semi-permeable membrane. Now, if you read the note properly over here, things like red blood cells and plasma protein, well, proteins are too large to pass through. Is that good or bad? Obviously, that would be a good thing, because let me just draw some red blood cells. Let these red dots mean what? Red blood cells. And I'm going to use blue. I'll draw some squares. What happens is that you don't want these things to be removed from the patient's blood. You want that to remain inside the blood. And the good thing about it, these things are too large to be able to pass through the semi-permeable membrane. However, unfortunately, there are smaller things in the blood. Things like glucose salts, and urea are small enough to pass through the membrane. Now, to make things simple, right, I'm going to use the letter G to represent glucose, the letter S to represent what? Salts, and the letter U to represent urea. So let me just erase the red blood cells and the proteins that are too large. So G, I'll put a couple G's here. S for salts, I'll put 3 S's here, and urea. Out of these 3, which one or ones do we want to make it through the semi-permeable membrane? I'll call this region A and everything around it region B. Which of these substances you want to get into region B? Is it the glucose? Is it the salts? Or is it the urea? Which one needs to go from region A into region B? Right? Think it through, and send your answers on the chat. Out of those 3, you want the urea to be removed, right? So the urea, these 3 things, you want it to go into region B, to flow out, because once it makes it into region B, it will be flushed out of the dialysis machine. But here's the problem. All 3 of them, the glucose, the salts, and the urea, can all fit through are small enough to fit through the holes. So that's going to be a problem. So what's going to happen? The urea will be removed, but the glucose and the salts will also be removed. And that's going to be very bad because you need glucose in your blood and you need some amount of salts in your blood. So how does the dialysis machine prevent the good glucose and the good salts from going through the small holes? It have a very ingenious solution to this. But just look on the side over here. Do you all remember on the first day of integrated science at HSB, we did a topic called diffusion. Let me refresh your memory. Diffusion. Let's say I have an area with a lot of molecules of a certain type of molecule. So I have plenty over here, right? And I have a little bit of the molecules over here, the same molecules. How will the molecules flow? I'm going to call here A, and I'm going to call here B. Will it flow from A to B, or will it naturally flow from B to A? Well, what have you learned from diffusion? Well, does diffusion allow the flow from plenty, from an area of plenty to an area of little bit? Or does it always go from an area of little bit to an area of plenty? So is it going to flow from A to B or B to A? Let's see what you all can remember from the first day of class. But I'm just using this as an excuse, obviously, to talk about diffusion once again, right? Whenever there's plenty, the technical word for that is high concentration, C-O-N. And whenever there's a very little bit, you obviously call that a low concentration. Right. How it works naturally without any outside forces or energy. Diffusion always allows things to flow from high concentration to an area of low concentration. So check this out, right? If on the outside part, it only had a little bit of G's, let's say in the dialysis machine now, they put a little bit of glucose and a little bit of salt on the outside. Well, obviously, this is a bad idea because if inside the blood, it has plenty glucose and plenty salts, then the glucose will naturally flow out, and the salts will also naturally what? Flow out because of diffusion, because it's going from high concentration naturally into an area of low concentration, right? Well, whenever there's a difference in the amount of glucose, you call that, you say there's a concentration gradient. A concentration gradient means there's an area of high versus an area of low. But tell me something. Let's go back to this diagram. If I were to make region B have the same amount as region A, so A and B have the same exact amount of molecules. So both of them have the same concentration. None is higher than the other and none is lower than the other. How will it flow in a case like this? Will it flow from A to B or B to A? Well, what do you guys think? What would happen in a case like that? Think about it. If both of them have the same exact concentration. Emma, correct. No, Josiah. I'm looking for a simpler answer, Josiah. You went too much into high-tech stuff. I'm looking for a much simpler answer. Nicole, correct. The answer is nothing will happen. There would be no flow because there's no difference in concentration. So nothing is going to happen. So here's how the dialysis machine will work now. Inside the dialysis machine, on the outer parts, they will make sure that there's the same amount of glucose on the outside and the same amount of salts. So even though the glucose and salts can fit through the small holes, they will not flow. There will be no need for it to cross the barrier because the concentration gradient, there's no concentration gradient. And that is how they magically keep the glucose and salts inside the blood, even though it could fit through the openings. So only the urea is going to move out because they're definitely going to keep the urea on the outside parts lower to extract the urea from the blood. All right? So I think that's a pretty detailed explanation of how the dialysis machine works. I needed to take down everything on that screen there, right? And let me know when you are finished. My next question is, right, when it comes to the excretory system, it seems that the most talked about system is the kidneys, right? Because the kidneys remove urea. And of course, the liver is part of the excretory system because the liver is the one that produces the urea in the first place and sends it to the kidneys. Remember, the term excretion means the body is trying to remove something it does not want. Quick question. Is the lungs that we use to breathe and whatnot, is that considered to be an excretory organ? Is the lungs involved in excretion? Well, what do you guys think? Think it through. Are the lungs, involved in excretion? So the answer is yes. The lungs is an excretory organ. But the question is, why? Why is the lungs an excretory organ, right? We just skip all of this. And this is the slide I wanted to go to. You all remember this thing called respiration? Well, how the body creates what? Energy. We all know that when your body takes glucose and mixes it with oxygen in the mitochondria inside your cells, right? You basically get four things: carbon dioxide, water, energy, and you get some heat. Remember, the carbon dioxide and this water are actually waste products, right? the heat also, if you have too much heat, well, that's also considered a waste product. The only thing that's really, really good that's created in respiration is the energy. It's just that you get carbon dioxide, water, and heat. Where does your body at least send the carbon dioxide and the water? By the way, this water here will be water vapor when you breathe it out. And the answer is the lungs. You see, all that carbon dioxide and water, those waste products, are definitely sent to the lungs. And when you breathe out, you expel carbon dioxide and water. But the water is being gas form. It is being what? Water vapor form. Also, I don't know if you all notice this. When you breathe out, you ever breathe like out on your hand? How the air that's coming out of your lungs is always be a little bit warmer. And the reason for that, some of the heat when you breathe out is coming out of your lungs. So yes, your lungs is definitely an excretory organ. It's getting rid of things it doesn't want in its body. Now, this may be obvious, but I'm going to say it. When you breathe out, your lungs do not expel urea because there's no urea sent to your lungs. Urea is mostly sent to your kidneys. All right, so there's nothing to take down here. Like I said, I just talking through this will be obvious. But based on how much we did on respiration and whatnot before. Right? So let's just skip through all of this madness here. Our next excretory organ is our skin. I'm not too sure if you all know this, right? Whenever you sweat, right? Like this, look at the animation here. The person here with the little blob here is sweating. When you sweat, you actually expel salts, water, heat. And yes, unfortunately, when you sweat, a little bit of the urea ends up on your skin, right? So I want you to take down this one though, right? Your skin is an excretory organ. So this one here is based on the skin. And when you sweat, right? These are the things that you find in sweat. And that should be it for excretion, right? So just take down this last note, right? And then we can start practice questions on excretion. So we're finished with an entire topic in terms of theory. All right. So water, carbon dioxide, urea, and excess salts need to be removed from the body. We talked about that extensively. What's the name of that process? Obviously, right? That's excretion. Name 2 body organs that will remove excess salts from the body. Now, there's only, you cannot say the lungs, right? Because the lungs do not remove, how you say, salts. So if I had to choose 2, it would be the skin and definitely who? The kidneys. Easy stuff there, right? You can't go wrong with that, right? Great. Let's move on. Let's see if I can get this to fit here. I have to get a diagram. So part C is on the screen there. So part C has 2 parts, part 1 and obviously part 2. Good luck. All right, so we just recently spoke about the process that, creates carbon dioxide. And the answer for that one is respiration. Or some people will be more specific and say cellular respiration. But if you use respiration, you'll get full marks, right? I think I spelled respiration there wrong. Sorry, guys. Right, so that's the answer there. Organ B is obviously the lungs. We now discuss that. Now, I know you can't see part 3 on the screen, but I know what question they're going to ask. They're going to ask you, what is organ C? Anybody wants to tell me the answer for what is organ C supposed to be? Urea created in the liver, right? Which organ removes the urea? Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Right? The answer is not liver, right? Liver is producing urea. Urea is produced in the liver. I'm asking which organ extracts the urea now and sends it outside the body. Well, the answer for that will obviously be what? The kidneys. So, right? I mean, some people might say it's the bladder, but the better answer is the kidneys, because the kidneys extracts the urea out of the blood and then sends it to the bladder. So the better answer there is kidney. I would not put bladder in the exam. So organ C would be what? The kidneys. Right? I know sometimes in the exam there may be two answers, but remember, you have to always choose the better of the possible answers. Name two organs which remove water from the body. Which two organs can remove water from the body? Yeah, it's actually three answers, but they're only asking you for two. Carissa, correct. The best answers in this case here, right? But the best one is the kidney for sure, right? We know the kidney can definitely regulate the amount of water in your body. The next one, if I had to choose the next best answer, I would say the skin. Remember, and you sweat through your skin. So your skin has a lot of what? Water. The skin is responsible for actively removing water from your body. Or, we mentioned this one a few minutes ago, your lungs. Remember, when you breathe out that water in water vapor form that was created during respiration in your cells. So, but if I had to choose two, I would choose kidneys and skin. Obviously, if you put lungs in the mix, you're going to get full marks in the exam as well. All right. Great. Let's move on. Right. All right. So you have a little chart over here. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger so A, B, and C could fit properly. Good luck. Send your answers across. For part A, they ask you for the total amount of water gained each day. And you're gaining water from drinking, eating food, and formed in the body. This is formed in the body due to respiration. All they're asking you is to add up these three numbers, and the answer will be what? 2,500. And don't forget your units, right? cm cubed. That's all they wanted you to do. How much of you were overthinking that question? I think so, based on the answers, I think some of you all were overthinking the question. How much water is lost by urine and feces? Well, this column here is what? Water lost. So it's two things they're talking about here, urine and feces. They just want you to add up these two values. Nothing complicated. That's all they're literally wanted. That's somebody. Oh, I didn't give you all the answer for part B. Sorry about that. Right, sorry, I'm now going on. I got distracted by the addition thing there, right? How much water is lost by urine and feces? Well, let's add up the 1,400 and 150. So I'm getting 1,550 centimeters cubed. That was the answer for that one. Right. So part C, well, in part C, it's a normal, how you say, maths question. Work out the percentage of the total water loss by the skin. Now, they want a percentage. How much water is lost by the skin? It's 500, right? Look it over here. So to convert that to a percentage, You take the value, which is 500, you divide it by the total water loss. Just like in normal maths, the total is always the denominator, right? And then we multiply it by 100%, right? So 500 divided by 2,500 multiplied by 100, I'm getting 20%. Oy. Some people got some seriously wrong answers, but that's okay. At least let me know on the chat if you understand the mistake you made, right? Just don't copy down the answer. I want to make sure you see a mistake. This is the amount lost by the skin, and the denominator for calculating percentages always be the total. There's always be the total. How much more water is gained from drink than from food? Well, these questions just getting easier and easier. All right, so let's scroll up here. Part D, right? I'm hoping you all can see there. Water gain. Water gain. Which one is water gain? I think it's the first one here. Oh, the second column. Water gain from food than from drink. That's just a simple subtraction question. They just want you to minus 1250 and 950. That is all they want you to do, right? So, but you're gonna have, I think you should put some work in for the examiner. You should probably just put 1250 minus 950, and we're gonna get 300 centimeters cube. I hope you all get an easy question like this in the exam. I know you all will come out smiling. E. Suggest 2 ways in which the amount of water gained and lost each day would be affected by a very hot climate, right? So pretend it's a very hot day. How is your body going to react differently? I'll give you some suggestions. Do you think you will drink more water or drink less water? Let's start off with that question. On a hot day, would you gain more water? Drink more water or less water? And the obvious answer is that you will drink more water. So drink more water. All right. These are actual answers for the question, eh? Would you sweat more or sweat less? Obviously, you're going to what? Sweat more. Now, if you're going to sweat more, that means you're going to lose more water by sweating. So more water is lost by sweating. Right? And we know the third one, right? You will, in your urine, when you go to the washroom, there will definitely be less water in your urine because you're going to go to the washroom way less. So there's going to be less water in your urine, right? Right, and I see this question come already, so I'm just going to ask it, right, just in case it comes for your exam. When the place is warm, right, your urine, will it be clear or yellow on a warm day? On a warm day, will your urine be clearish in color or will it be yellowish in color? Yellowish, right? Because there's less water. So the water is what usually gives it its clear color. So the less water in it, the more concentrated the salts and urine and urea and whatnot it is, right? So I have to mention it because I've seen it come in past papers already. All right, so I would say this is the easiest question that we will be doing today. All right, I think you all can agree. So let's move on to question 3. Yes, they bring a lot of graphs in the exam. So you have this scary-ish looking graph. Don't worry, it's not going to be hard. If you look at the table, let's call it the key. The grayish one is sugar, the white one is urea, and the black spaces are salts. See if you can answer part A, part B, and part C. The answer for part A is water. I think I was indirectly talking about the answer to this question at the end of question 2. Water plays a very vital role in urine, right? Which two people have sugar in their urine? I think they meant to say, these two. Oh, this is so easy. Gray. So person B and person D have what? Oh Lord, that was super easy. So it's B and D. Which person has the most salt in their urine? Well, the salt is the black portion. That's obviously who? The D, right? So let's squeeze it in here, D. Right? There's actually a section in the syllabus that says that you have to be able to interpret charts. So this is where these questions come from now. They're very, very easy, especially for people who are doing maths, right? Interpreting charts is super, super easy. But it's specifically mentioned on the syllabus that you have to be able to interpret charts like this. So that's good news. Part D, I'll scroll up just now, don't worry. What is the percentage amount of urea in the urine of person A? All right, so I know I have to scroll back up, right? Person A. What percentage, no, see that. What is the amount of urea? Oh, urea is the white. What percentage is the urea for person A? Right, so concentrate on person A here. Remember, the white portion is urea. Now, the answer is not 4. No. Look at the y-axis. The y-axis is already in percentage. I know it's hard to see the percentage sign here, but they have a small percentage sign here. So this is the actual amount of percentages already. So you're kind of reading off the y-axis. You notice the black part is 2%, and the white part goes from what? 2 to 4. So the white part is 2% because it's going from 2. It's starting at 2 and ending at 4. That's a total change of how much percent? 2%. So the answer is not 50%. I know you're looking at it as half and half. So the answer for this one is just 2%. Yeah, I'm not trick. Don't feel bad if you got it wrong. Real people got it wrong in chat. Honestly, if I didn't watch it properly a second time, I would have gotten it wrong. For person D, right? So you have a shot to redeem yourself. For person D, what's the percentage of the white part here? That white part spans how much percent? The answer is not 8%. Look at it. It's starting. We got a different color here. Actually, let me erase this whole thing here. Look at it here. This part, the white part, starts at where? 4%, and it ends at where? 8%. So if it starts at 4 and goes to 8, that's a change of 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. It's 4%, not 8%. Right, so you see how easy they can trick you with these sly questions, I guess. E. Let me zoom in here a little bit. The urine of a normal, healthy person contains 2% urea. So a healthy person has 2% urea, 2% salts, and no sugar in their urine. Which two of the 5 people are normal and healthy? So urea is 2, salt is 2, but no sugar. All right? So let's see if we can narrow that down. Right? I know it's hard to scroll up and scroll back down. You just miss out on it. 1 second, guys. See if I can help you guys here. All right. So apparently, sugar is supposed to be 0%. Urea is supposed to be 2%. And salt is supposed to be 2%. Who is healthy in a case like this? Well, firstly, persons without any sugar, right? So definitely A might be healthy, C might be healthy, and E might be healthy because those 3 persons, A, D, and E, have no sugar. But only A and C have 2% each. So I don't think person E is healthy. Person E has how much? He has too much urea in his urine. Right? So the official answer would be A and C. Person E actually has how much urea? He has 4 because he's starting at 2 and ending at 6. That's a total of 4. Right. So the official answer would be A and person C. All right, let's move on. All right, so this is question 4, right? I know, right. Good luck there. You have part A and part B. Obvious. But I'll say A is obviously what? This here is your kidney, obviously. B is your lungs, and C, well, is the skin, right? That's a diagram of a cross-section of the skin. So B is going to be a little bit more tricky. So you guys help me out here. Let's go through this one by one. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Right. So A is the kidney, B is the lungs, and C is the skin. You can still make it out on top here, right? Organs A, B, and C remove water from the body. Is that true or is that false? Let's go through this together as a class. A, B, and C. Kidneys, lungs, and skin. Do they all remove water? I think that is true. So they said if it's true, put a tick. Obviously, if it's false, you don't put anything in it. Organ A, which is your kidney, helps to control body temperature. True or false? Yeah, that's definitely a false. Your kidney doesn't really do anything to control what? Body temperature. Your skin and lungs actually help maintain a body temperature. Right? Because even when you breathe out, remember I told you, when you breathe out, your breath comes out a little bit warmer. Because when you breathe out, it's possible to get rid of some of the heat inside of your body. Right? So 3, organs B and C, that's the lungs and the skin, remove carbon dioxide from the body. True or false? I think that's a false, guys, because they said B and C remove carbon dioxide. That's false. I mean, the lungs remove carbon dioxide, but C is your skin. Does the skin remove any carbon dioxide? No, right? So question 3 is assuming that both of them remove carbon dioxide. That's false. That's false. Number 4, urine is produced in organ A. Um, hmm. Yes. Remember, urine is the liquid part, right? So yeah, organ A is the kidney. That directly produces what? Urine and sends it to where? The bladder to be stored. So I think we should put a tick here. Number 5. Water and salts are removed from the body in organ C, the skin. They're talking about the skin. Does the skin remove water and salts? That's definitely true. We did that earlier today. Right? Scrolling down a little bit, right? Organ A produces urea. They're talking about the kidney here. Remember, organ A is the kidney. I'll write it in brackets here. Does the kidney produce urea? True or false? I thought I would catch you all there, but a lot of people did not fall for it. That's a false. The urea itself is not created by the kidney. That's created in the liver. And the liver that creates the urea sends it to the kidney so the kidney can remove it from the body. Right? So that's a trick question, right? So the answer for this one is false. Organ A, well, that's the kidney again, this speaking about the kidney, removes urea and salts from the body. True or false? That one should be obvious by now, right? If you get this one wrong, I can only assume that you missed the past last week's class. But the answer for this one is true. Right? It does remove urea and salts from the body. All right, let's move on. Let's see what's going on in this complicated diagram here. All right. Right. So I know it's hard to see the question here. What is going on in process E? What's going on over here in process E? Don't overthink it. I'll give you a hint. It starts with the letter D. This is digestion. Right? That's the answer for part E down here. All right. So let's scroll down. What do body cells use amino acids for? Why do we need amino acids? Right? Remember, amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Right. Now, amino acids are basically used for growth and repair. Like when your muscles get damaged, you need amino acids to repair your muscles. Even to grow. Remember, if you are growing, you need more muscles because as you get larger, you need more muscles. Right? So basically, amino acids are used for what? Growth and repair. Right? At the end of the day, that's the best answer there. Right? Part 3. In which, or everyone should get this correct, in which organ are excess amino acids converted into urea? No one should be getting this one wrong. We all know the answer for this one. It's the liver. Part 4, I think some people will get it wrong, but still give it a try. So once the urea is created in the liver, right? So let me say this is your liver here, and this is your kidney here. So inside your liver, you have urea is created. How does the urea reach from the liver to the kidney? Because urea has to leave the liver and go to the kidney now. But how does it do it? How does it reach? How does it travel? Right, Sarah, correct. It goes to the blood. Well, what will happen? The urea is sent into the bloodstream. And of course, all those arteries and whatnot would eventually lead to where? The kidneys. So the urea is sent in our blood, and that blood would eventually be what connected at some point to our kidneys. So the answer is the bloodstream, right? Or you could even say the arteries, right? Or you could even say through the circulatory system. All right, so if you didn't know, now you know. All right, great. Don't feel bad. Last year, most of the class got it wrong as well. I want to skip question 6 because this is just another graph one. It's just taking values off the graph. I don't want to waste too much time on this one. Let's look at a question where we have a lot to learn from. Good luck with question 7. That's a very nice diagram of the kidney there. For part A, the fluid that goes to the ureter is urine, not urea, right? Urine and urea are different. Urea is a specific waste product. Urine, the stuff that goes to your bladder, is a mixture of water. Now, let me put it here. Urine has a lot of things in it. Urea just happens to be one of the things. But it has other things like water. Sometimes it has salts in it. Sometimes in people who are not well, your urine will contain what? Sugars and whatnot. Now, a healthy person is not supposed to have any sugar in their urine, right? But if a person has like diabetes or some other condition, sugar can be found in urine. So please make sure you understand the slight difference between urine and urea. Urea is just one component found in urine. Now, part B, don't overthink it, right? They're just asking you to what? Compare the values in the table. In part, the blood that's coming into the kidney, doesn't it have more sugar? Look at it. It comes in with 1.2 grams of sugar, but the urine has no sugar. So do you think this person is a healthy person? Or, I mean, just based on it, do you think this person is a healthy person? Based on the values on the table and what I just told you? I think the answer is yes, right? Remember, this stuff here is going to the bladder. This here is the urine. A healthy person is supposed to have no sugar in their urine. And this person has no sugar. Also, the blood that's coming in has less urea. Look at it, 0.35. And the urea in the urine is higher. So all you have to say is something simple like the urea in the urine is more than what was coming in. The answers here are very, very simple answers they're looking for. And they only ask you for 3. There is more protein in the blood that's coming in and less protein, actually 0 protein in the urine. All right? So I don't want to spend too much more time on this question. It's just basically describing the values in the table. Part C. Name 2 substances from the table that the kidneys remove from the body. We don't even need to go to that table. You could actually pull this from memory. What 2 substances do kidneys remove from the body? Off the top of your head, what 2 things the kidneys are going to pull out from the body and send it to your bladder? What are 2 things your body doesn't really want? One starts with U, obviously. Right. A lot of people are getting it correct. It's right. The two things is urea and when they say salts, right? I think I explained this last week, right? This is really excess salts they're really talking about. The extra salts that your body doesn't need, because your body does need salt. Salts, sorry. It's just when you eat too much salts, your body needs to get rid of it. And the answer for D, well, we know the answer from D from a previous question. Which other substance makes up most of the fluid in the ureter, which is basically your urine? The ureter connects the kidney to the urine. Right. I'm going to spend too much time on this. This is water. Right. So let's scroll down here. I'll give a hard question. This one here looks, just give me a few seconds just to look for a hard question. So A is your renal artery. When the blood is coming out, that's your renal vein. So C is your renal vein. The part here, B, this is obviously going to contain your urine, right? So it's going to send it to your bladder. That vessel there is called your ureter. Ureter, sorry. Right, so based on the answers, I think everyone got it correct. But what about part B? Right, we really don't need the diagram to do part B. The glucose, right? The amount of glucose that's going into the sorry, this is the kidney, right? Now, when I say leaving the kidney, right? Whatever is coming into the kidney, some of it will leave the kidney and go back into the body. Glucose. Will the amount of glucose going into the liver, will the same amount be returned to the body? In other words, does the kidney remove any glucose and send it to our bladder? What do you all think? Will it be the same amount of glucose being returned to the inside of the body? Let me draw back a diagram here, right? This is your kidney here. Well, that's a terrible drawing of a kidney there. All right. In terms of glucose, the glucose is going to come into the kidney. Is the kidney going to try to extract or excrete any glucose? No, right? Remember, glucose is good. Your body wants to keep the glucose. So the same amount of glucose that comes into the kidney, the same amount is going to be returned back to the body. So it will be the same amount, AMT here. What about salts? If salts are coming into the kidney, will the same amount be returned to the body? I don't think so, because the kidney is going to excrete some of the salts, the excess salts, right? So what is your final answer for part 2? In terms of salts being returned to the body, will the same amount of salt be returned, less or more? What do you guys think? All right. Based on the answer, okay, I think we misinterpreted. Let's put a value on it. Let's say 10 salts come in, and let's use a value. 10 salts, right? Let's say 10 is too much salt in the body. Some of it will be removed. So let's say 3 salts get removed. Now, if 10 come in and 3 is excreted, then 7 is left to go back into the body. So you all notice what happens here? Less salt is returned to the actual body because some will be removed by the kidney, right? Remember, the kidneys are good at removing excess salts. So the answer for this one is less. They're basically asking you how much is being returned to the body. So what about water? A lot of water has to go into the kidneys. Do you think less, more, or equal water will be returned to the body? Well, what do you all think about that one? In terms of water, right? Tell me something. Doesn't your urine have water in it? So if 10 water comes in, doesn't your kidney have to send some of that water to be part of your urine? Because urine needs liquid in it. So that means less water is returned back to the body because some water was sent to make the urine in the bladder. So the answer is less. Less water will be returned to the body because some will be used to make the urine. For those who got it wrong, you think you understand it? I'm glad we did this question. This question tricked almost everybody in the class. So guys, let me know if you understand this question. I think how the question was phrased, you didn't understand what the question was asking for. They were basically asking for what is being returned to the body.